everyone, I'm Joette from the Bowdabra Design team, and today I'm excited to share with you the Roundy Moundy Bowdabra floral designing technique as we make this wreath or swag. Roundy Moundy arrangement is a great example of traditional floral design basics. It follows the bullseye and target pattern, where you start by building a foundation at the bullseye area and then fill in the circles around the imaginary target. You can then add linear flowers and sticks horizontally and vertically to build off the Roundy Moundy. Traditional floral designs use floral foam, but with the Bowdabra floral designing method, we place the stems directly into the Bowdabra towers without the use of floral foam. We build the outer layers of the circle while also building from the outside of the circle to the inside, starting at the bottom layers of the arrangement and working our way up to the top and center layers, using the Bowdabra towers as the bullseye area. The imaginary circles can be any size you need them to be. As you build the florals within the circle, imagine filling in a pizza or pie slices to create a balanced design. The Bowdabra floral designing method and technique is faster, saves money by using fewer supplies, and is beginner friendly with less stem cutting and no need for floral foam or hot glue. Each Roundy Moundy piece you create with the Bowdabra has multiple uses, such as attaching to a vase for a high-end floral arrangement or using as a centerpiece without a container. You can also use them as lantern swags, door swags, wreaths, even cemetery headstone arrangements. Once you've learned this method, the possibilities are endless. So let's get started. To get started, I cut a length of Bowdabra bow wire, fold it in half, and I place it down in the longer slit of the Bowdabra towers. Now I'm going to be adding deco mesh into the Bowdabra towers. I'm placing it the opposite direction of where I put the Bowdabra bow wire. This method is called scrunchy bow style or ruffle bow style, where you accordion fold your pieces of material down in the Bowdabra. As you can see, it's butterfly shaped, so I'm covering part of that circle, and it's going to make a nice backing for my wreath attachment or swag. Now I'm going to be working outside the circle, but I'm also filling in part of the circle, as you can see. I'm taking a long hanging fern and I'm splitting it. By splitting this fern in this way and placing it in on both sides of the Bowdabra will help secure it, ensuring that it never falls out. Working on the top portion of the circle, I've placed a single stem piece of greenery into the Bowdabra and bending the stems to make sure it's secure as well. And then I added a greenery bush in the top side of the Bowdabra, filling in that circle, also framing in the single stem greenery. Now I have the full circle covered. It's a collar of greenery and deco mesh. I'm going to start adding blooming. I'm using blooming bushes, and you have to remember they'll spread. You're not going to leave them in clusters. I like to add the linear flowers in next after the greenery. The linear flowers stretch out and give the piece length, especially if I split them in half. Then I'll add my fuller focal flowers. I want the fuller, larger flowers closer to the center by the towers. I like to add filler flowers in between the focal flowers as well. The way I'm laying everything in the Bowdabra is filling in that imaginary circle of pizza slices, while at the same time I'm also filling in the cascading portion of this piece. If you notice, the outside perimeter circle is full, and there's an empty circle right around the bullseye area. I would normally fill that area with larger flowers, but I'm going to be adding a bow to this piece, so I'm trying to save room. You can add the bow in after you're done, but I find it easier to go ahead and place the bow in as I'm making the arrangement if I have room in the Bowdabra towers. This is what we have so far. The magic will start to happen once we start fluffing and shaping, but for now, we're going to go ahead and add our bow, starting out with our tails. I'll be making a funky bow for this piece. I've found that when I'm making a Roundy Moundy, funky bows seem to work out better because they are more centerpiece friendly. I'm going to be using my Bowdabra bow wand every little bit because the Bowdabra is getting kind of full. The Bowdabra does hold a lot, as you can see, but it is important to keep everything scrunched down so you don't lose any of your work. To make a funky bow, I'm making one loop with 2 tails, and I'm alternating the loops from left to right into the Bowdabra. As I get closer to the top of my bow, I'm starting to use 2 ribbons and double them. When using a sheer ribbon, it's a whole lot easier to work with when you double it with another ribbon. As you're starting to be able to see now, the funky bow fits right down inside my imaginary target and pizza slices. Another reason why I like using a funky bow for this style of an arrangement is because I don't need to make as many loops in the bow. I've only put 2 loops on each side and my bow's already full. Now I'm going to be ending it with a button loop. And the button loop is also going to be in the bullseye. So that means it's the last piece we're going to add to this arrangement. Once you get that last piece of ribbon in, go ahead and give everything a good scrunch one more time. And then we're going to tie our bow up with our Bowdabra bow wire and start fluffing and shaping. Carefully reach up underneath the Bowdabra and pull out the loose ends of the Bowdabra bow wire and pull them through the looped end. Pull it nice and tight while it's still down in the Bowdabra. Remove it, pull it tight again, flip it over, separate the ends, pull them all the way to the back and tie them up in a knot. But wait, before we secure this piece completely, we're going to slip a zip tie up in the very top and push it as close to the front of the arrangement as possible, because this is going to be our door hanger. This step is only necessary if you're using this piece for a door swag. If you're using it for a wreath attachment, you'll want to tie it on nice and tight with the Bowdabra bow wire. So be sure to leave the excess ends on and attached. It's time to fluff and shape. I start out by moving all my ribbon out of the way because I'll be fluffing that last. This is where I'm going to be moving the flowers from side to side, crossing them over, bending them and manipulating them. If they were on one side, they're now going to be on both sides. Remember, there was a target, and we're going to finish that target by making everything go all the way around. So I'm going to be taking the longer flowers and placing them on opposite sides, and the shorter flowers pulling them up closer to the center and anywhere it needs filling in their area. No flowers are going to be touching each other. I'm going to pull all the filler flowers forward, and I'm going to pull the linear flowers out. I don't want it to look like somebody sat on it, so when you fluff it out with the filler flowers and the linear flowers, it helps give it some movement. And it also helps separate those large focal flowers to keep them from touching. If you notice the white flowers at the bottom and the blue hydrangeas, they started out on one side and now they've crossed over to other sides and they're blending in where they're supposed to be, helping make this arrangement round. That is, for it to have a round base that we've used to build off of. Once you're happy with the placement of all your flowers, it's time to start fluffing and shaping the bow. Start out by pulling your tails down and blending them in with the cascading portion of this arrangement. Next, reach in there and start fanning out your tails of the funky bow. Put them in the places of where your imaginary pizza slices would be. After you're done placing the tails of the funky bow, go ahead and straighten and shape out your loops. Don't forget about the bullseye. It's your last place to fluff. That's it. We're now finished and have this beautiful wreath attachment or door swag. Using these simple steps with the imaginary target, bullseye, and pizza slices, I hope this will help give you the knowledge of the basic fundamental skills to make your very own Bowdabra Roundy Moundy floral base. Once you do this, you can make anything you desire. Remember to always get the Bowdabra bow wire or whatever you use to secure your Bowdabra creations with extremely tight. This is how you are able to skip the floral foam version. Keep practicing what you've learned and never stop learning. Thank you for watching.